Hey guys, so this is going to be our third video today, 5/20/2026, with Lourdes Salinas, who is a person who works in housing. Um, she's here now. I top for that. Wait. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. So as I said earlier, but for the sake of the audience who's watching this show, I'm going to do a traditional 6 question interview with you
Okay.
about yourself as a person. And
Okay.
I will acknowledge someone named Jim Harrington, from whom I got the idea.
Okay.
He does a different set of 6 questions, but I got the idea from him. So,
Mark Isaac, just one
yes,
second. I'm on low power, and I've got to plug in. I'll be right back.
yes, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, here we are.
It's all good.
Okay, deal with that later. All right. All righty.
All righty then. Jolly good. So, let's see. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in San Diego, California,
Okay.
and we were actually in a border town called San Isidro.
Okay, and it sits on the border, like half of it's in the States and half it's in Mexico.
No, all of San Isidro is American territory. It's part of California. But it's right there. It's like a border town.
It's
And
called
so
San Isidro.
San Isidro, yes.
All right.
And we lived in wow, it's not charging. We lived in subsidized housing that was owned by the Franciscan branch of the Catholic Church.
Okay, the
And
Franciscan what?
branch of the Catholic Church.
Okay, now if you need to go, we'll just cut this short.
Let me just, I gotta see why the plug is not.
Take your time. Take your time.
Okay. Reset you. Reset. Let's see. Okay. 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 Good. 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 They're working. They're working.
Well, these electronic devices have a mind of their own, so
Oh, they've got us by the ear. I'll tell you that much.
yeah.
So I grew up in this border town of San Diego County called San Ysidro in these apartments called Villanueva Apartments. And they were a huge complex, probably about maybe 6 to 800 units.
Six to
And
800. So,
yeah,
but the rest of us would think of that as a housing project, right?
yes, yes, yes.
All right. So tell me about life. This is more interesting than what is it like to live in a housing project of that size, 6 to 800 units?
Wow. Well, it's a blessing and a curse, both.
Okay, tell us why
Because it
this
was
part.
it as a child growing up there, we would play tag with other kids and we would run through these apartments, these different buildings, and frequently we would find someone shooting up in
Okay.
in in an area that we were in. And sometimes they would be trying to get us to come over. They'd be like, hey kid, type of thing.
Yeah.
And other times they would just be sort of out of it.
So
But
did
that
you
was,
Go
that
ahead.
was a lot of the stuff that was going on in the complexes. And for example, I once found a leg, a human leg,
Ah,
in the dumpster
oh
when I went to dump
Lord.
the garbage. And so that was traumatizing, to say the least. And a lot of crimes
Really?
happened
Ah,
at those
my God.
apartments. But by the same token, I was involved in church at that time. Um, we became Pentecostal, and so then our life revolved around church and church activities. So I wasn't there a lot, but it was still nice to have an apartment. It was a 3 bedroom, 1.5 bath.
Now, what age do you remember? I mean, your family may have lived there before you were born, but what age do you remember being there? How early?
Probably around 3.
All right. And then you lived there until when, do you think?
Till about 19.
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. But it
Wow.
was income based, which meant when my dad was with us, we paid a higher rent because he was retired Navy and had a higher income. But when he left us, then it was all just my mom being on AFDC at the time and
Right.
cleaning houses as a backup to that.
Right.
So the rents would change. And when my mom was alone, she was still able to afford it alone.
All right. And you had how many brothers and sisters?
2. And I was the youngest of 3.
And two brothers, two sisters, one of each.
And my eldest sister, and then I had a brother that were she was 6 years older and my brother was 5 years older than I am.
All right. All right. So you're the baby. All
Yeah.
right. Well, gee, that's a lot. That's
Yeah, yeah. But it's
it.
also why I have to
Yeah.
house our people better. I know what we lived in, and I
Yeah.
know what would be acceptable to me as a person having those experiences and what I really want to create, which is something completely different and a healing environment and experience instead of just being in survival or fight or flight, because you're living with all this stuff happening around you. And it's hard to navigate it without being sucked in to that system. For example, when I was in middle school, some girls ganged up on me,
Yeah.
and because they wanted me to join their gang. And I
Right.
refused to join a gang. And so I remember when they were saying, "Are you going to join?" I said, "No, you might as well kill me." And so
Oh.
they beat me up really well. And I remember just I had a lapse of memory and then being at home bloodied up, and so it was behind the 7-Eleven. They had ganged up on me. And then I went into, like I said, some sort of a blackout. But my friend the next day said, "You went off on them like the Tasmanian devil." And I
Ah.
said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." So this was the blackout.
No, I had no idea when I asked this question that I was going to be sitting here with someone so I mean, I just that just we got this is you shouldn't have had to go through any of that, let alone one piece of those 100 pieces.
There is a lot of that goes on in that part of this state. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of you're either with us or you're against us within the
Yeah.
same Hispanic culture or other cultures. And so it for me, I wasn't going to be led by a gang. I have the mind to lead a country. I am not going to be led by
Yes,
them,
I
and
understand.
so I
Yeah,
knew that
yeah.
at that age that I
Good.
am not going to be someone's follower. I
Well,
am the leader, you
well,
know.
it's interesting that the Franciscan order I mean, this must, I don't know about this building, how many centuries ago it was built or anything, but it's interesting that the Franciscan order had no more insight than to build a housing project type property and then expect people to be happy in it. I mean, housing projects have been around for probably at least 100 years, I would think.
Yeah,
And everybody knows they're a fucking disaster. So
yeah,
why make that choice? And then, the Catholic Church has so many resources. They could have done, I mean, nowadays, some people who have a brain are building tiny villages
right,
where they have little houses.
right.
Because now that I've been talking to you for a year, when I'm on places like TikTok and Facebook, I see the housing visionaries who are building tiny housing villages and other forms of housing that are more humane. So, did these buildings form in such a way that they had a courtyard for the kids could play safely inside the buildings?
And they had playgrounds between the massive buildings. I think each building held like 8 apartments.
Huh.
And so then every 3 or 4 buildings they had playgrounds. And
So
it was
how
good,
many buildings and how were they, one or two story or five story or?
No, no. Some of them were 4 stories, some of them were three. And and they were, yeah, there were some bottom levels, ground levels, and then sort of a mid-level, a third level, and a fourth to the biggest buildings. I lost you there. I think we're frozen. Hello, tech. Gotta love tech. Okay, Mark Isaac, I'm not getting you back. Okay, I think we lost him. I'm gonna log out and come back in.